Well, the World Padel League is kicking off in some grand style, and joining me in this very special feature is the co-founder of the league herself, Hemali Sharma. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure hosting you in this segment. One thing intrigued me because the sport is new, especially in the Indian subcontinent. What actually made you introduced to paddle, and was sports something that you always wanted to invest into?
So honestly speaking, when we were growing up, we were more academically inclined. Sports was not really my thing. But a few years back, my daughter, she's got engaged in a lot of sports. She plays for school, rounders, badminton. She trains for tennis. And close to where we live, there's a paddle court. So just for recreation, she started playing. And that's how I actually got introduced to paddle as sport. Like really by chance.
Okay. And we also see that you've interacted with South African cricketers. We've seen you play with them. So instead of a cricket bat, there has been a paddle racket in their hands. But what could have been the inspiration behind World Padel League as such? Because the league started in Dubai, now
Correct.
2 seasons in Mumbai.
Correct.
And how exactly brought you into the inspirational part of this World Tournament franchise?
So like before paddle, we were lucky we did the World Tennis League.
Okay.
So because of tennis, we had the world's best talent which came and played for us. And like I said, I was introduced to paddle. I said, why not do something on that ground as well? And when we researched, we knew about these Spanish players and the global talent that we have. I said, why not bring it home and let these youngsters enjoy this game, enjoy sports, entertainment, have a good time. And that was actually our inspiration. And plus we want the community to have more of sports as lifestyle. So that was actually our point in bringing the World Padel League.
Also at the same time, when you play the sport of paddle, one realizes how easy it is, because tennis becomes a bit out of reach of sorts, because in the country we have generally seen that paddle, or rather other mini racket sports, are gaining more momentum. And that also got me asking, how about when you executed the first season of WPL, what were the challenges you faced, and how do you feel you've improvised over the seasons counting?
So World Padel League, the season 1, I would say fairly, it was challenging, but not as much. Like, because I said in tennis, we already had gone through the grassroots problems. So paddle wasn't as difficult, but yes, of course, anything that you start new has its own challenges, especially finding a venue. So when our season 1 was in Dubai, in the Coca-Cola Arena, but our season 2, we thought, why not bring it to India? So India has its own challenges, finding a perfect place to host it, a perfect stadium to host. I think that was our main challenge. Then bringing the players here to the country, getting them all the facilities that is required. And then of course building this sport here, because everything was from grassroots level, if you see. Like, I hope you've seen the whole facility. And that was the actual challenge. But having a great team and also outsourcing a lot of things, and India is the hub for it. So it was really, really helpful, and that's how we've achieved what we've achieved.
And there is a stark difference in the leagues that are conducted in India compared to the rest of the world, especially when we are bringing some new franchise-based sport, or we are trying to create an Indianized version of ourselves. And that also got me asking, did the inaugural season of WPL achieve break-even of sorts, not just industry standpoint wise, but also from an athletic or an Indian investment point of view, be it sport, finance, or any other avenue that you would look out for?
See, break even for any league in the first season, it's not easy, of course, owing to the cost that goes into it. But our main aim was not break even. We have a long-term vision. We want to bring sports. We want our young generation to see this world-class talent that we are bringing, enjoy the sport, not just use it for competition, but recreation. It has to be a part of their lifestyle. So that is our vision. A long way came our franchise owners who were already with us in the tennis league, and they were very kind to just join hands with us in the paddle league. So it has got us a long way, but break even is somewhere that we are coming close to.
And coming with break-even points comes the positive impact of promoting the sport, which
Definitely.
ultimately becomes the goal of every newer entity that is
Yes.
brought about, be it kabaddi, be it paddle, be it pickleball, whichever league we have seen so far, the impact creation is something that I've seen in the long
Yes.
term. How do you see the vision growing in the Indian scenario as such? Because I remember I asked this to Mahesh sir himself. Even he said it will take around half a decade before we see some Indian big names here. But how do you see this as an envisioned product? To see like a tier 2, tier 3 city hosting a paddle court, having paddle tournaments. How do you see that happening?
The same thing that Mahesh said, paddle is the fastest growing sport that we've all seen
That's
now.
true. That's true.
And when we see the players here, like the Spanish players that have come here and they are playing, they are international players. They are too good. And for Indian players to come there, I think down the line in few years they will be there. And we are seeing that the sports grow, and our players, Indian players also, we would love to see them maybe in Olympics, which will hopefully, it is included in the 32 Olympics. Hopefully we see some Indian players there as well.
We've seen the growth of the sport. It's rapidly growing. I should say exponentially growing. Plus, young kids are picking it up. So are the oldies who
Yes,
are trying
definitely,
to
definitely.
be experts in the sport now. And you yourself staying in Dubai, I have seen the circuit in Doha. So I've seen how paddle is rising. How do you see it integrating into the Indian grassroots scenario? Because we have a very strong youth game policy now. So how do you see this growing amongst those kids who want to aim in developing the sport?
Yeah, so back in home in Dubai, in fact, my daughter's school itself has a paddle court.
Is it?
Yes, and like the paddle courts, everywhere there's a paddle court. Where I stay, next to it, from my house, I can see a paddle court. So, also it's so inspiring to go, when you see people playing, it's so inspiring to go and play the game yourself. Also, I feel residential, now the big residential housing societies that are there, they should also include, like they have the football or tennis courts. I think a paddle court inclusion will be a great way to give a push to the sport. Also, a lot of clubs should include paddle. In fact, I know of some sports clubs over here which already have paddle courts.
Okay.
So one next to Andheri, I think the Andheri Sports Complex has a paddle court. So it's very easy for us when we are here, just go book the court and play. But yeah, the challenge that I see here, booking the court is not simple because it's never available because I think there are less number of courts. So I mean, the infrastructure wise, I think we need a push to take the game and to include more and more youth to enjoy this game, have better courts, more courts, push the game a bit and let everyone enjoy and let them get introduced to this lovely game, paddle, that World Padel League is also doing. So
Right.
it'll be great to have.
Right. Ma'am mentioned about Mumbai Football Arena. Yes, the very same place hosting the likes of Mumbai City FC.
Yes.
Also, my happy hunting home ground when it comes to Jamshedpur FC. But any which ways, ma'am, when do you see Indian players competing realistically at a global level competition? Like not just World Padel League, but there are going to be World Championships and potentially, given that we are hosting a 2036 Olympics, so how much
Yes.
do you see an international influence where Indians might be just dominating the circuit?
I'll be a bit biased here. So, like I told you, I have seen the best of best talent. So, after seeing that, I feel with the right training, exposure, I'm sure Indians are great at sports or at anything.
Right.
So, with the proper training and exposure, they can compete anywhere. I think that's the only thing that's missing. So, with a little push from the government, from actually all of us, together need to push this market, make it big, and I'm sure they will compete very soon at that level.
And actually, you mentioned about the government influence, how federations act, and now that we are having a national sports code, which is going to have like a great impact in not just paddle but all sports equivalent. So, how do you see that that coming into effect, and how much do you see that support gaining traction and coming into fruition as well?
In fact, I'm seeing a lot of support. When we moved the World Padel League from Dubai to India, we did have a lot of government support. In fact, today itself at World Padel League, we had the Sports Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Kokate, come visit us.
Right.
And he was so interested in the sport. He wanted to come see what the sport is, how it is, and he enjoyed the game. And he's like I want to do something with the sport. I want to work with it. I want to bring it to the grassroots level, to everyone, available to the youth. So we are getting a lot of help from them. So what we want to ask them, give us more infrastructure, some policy help, some way, and I think it'll just take paddle to the world.
Ma'am, one of the key aspects in paddle, apart from the court and the net, is the glass wall.
Yes.
And then comes the question of building the infrastructure of a paddle court. Basically, we are sitting here in Nesco Goregaon, but if we have to pick up a random venue, what would be the challenges that would face, and how would an institution like WPL ensure that infrastructure-wise the sport gets easier?
Like you mentioned, yes, there are challenges when we book the court, because when we travel and we come here, even we want to play, and it's not easy that you walk in and you can get a court. We thought it would be that way, but it's not like that, because more and more people are playing paddle. So there is an application called Huddle, is where we go on and we book our courts way in advance, so that we don't have to wait. We know we got our slot, we go and we just hit some balls.
Right.
So I think that's the way to do it. And the youth are very good at it. They are so good with applications. All my daughter knows it. Okay, Huddle, mom, don't worry, I'll book it on Huddle. Don't worry about it. So yeah, it's easier that way.
Ma'am, and also I got to see that with the rapid rise of paddle comes a sharp decline in other racket sports. So do you see this as a competition, or do you see this as a healthy coexisting environment? Because somewhere down the line, tennis, from where I remember, used to be almost inaccessible, because you need to be technically sound to play tennis. Probably you need to be reflexively sound like a squash player. Combining both those principles and getting a new sport which is catching new traction, how well do you see it like a competitive nature-wise industry product, or do you see it something that harbors diversity in the sporting domain?
Definitely, it is a competition. I wouldn't agree about tennis like declining or diminishing, but because tennis, I love tennis. We do the World Tennis League.
Right.
It's a favorite sport. But
it's an entity. She's got to love it.
Yes, yes, exactly. But paddle definitely, like I said, paddle, the courts are growing, paddle as a sport is growing.
Right.
And also I feel because the sport is not as challenging, it's a fast sport, definitely. But it's not that, like for tennis, it's a very expensive sport to learn, to play, everything. Here, all you do, you book a paddle court, you just have your racket, you go, hit some balls. So it's a cheaper sport per se. It's easier to learn. Maybe the injuries are less as compared to tennis. Not no injuries, but lesser as compared to tennis. Definitely, paddle is here to stay. Because when we used to see it was, a couple of years back, it was a niche sport.
Yeah.
But now it's become urban culture, literally. Also, celebrities are launching their own paddle courts, like MS Dhoni, I just heard of, has his own paddle court. There are celebrity tournaments that are happening. So it's not just the mass. Everybody wants to play paddle, whether it's a middle-aged person, whether it's young kids. Everybody's playing paddle, enjoying it, loving it. So paddle is definitely here to stay and compete.
Absolutely. And as somebody who has worked in the arena of Jharkhand, and you mentioned MS Dhoni, it really makes me feel happy. But if there's one message that you would like to give to not just sports entrepreneurs, but people wanting to invest into any sporting franchise, what is the first hurdle that they need to overcome so as to achieve success?
You mean the brands or?
Any brand, any tournament entity, or anything which a sports entrepreneur wants to start? Because from our interactions over the last decade, be it friends or be it extended family members who want to invest in sport, they've had multiple challenges right from the start, and they give up right from day one.
They need to meet the right people. Here, we are here.
But then
we're open to partnerships, sponsorships. Meet us.
But then if there's like one channelized piece of advice that you would like to give, because people literally give up within year one, year two, or maybe they don't last sustainable as such. So what is that one piece of advice you'd like to give them?
I think it's not that difficult. It's just, first of all, you have to have the love for the sport. See, anything, you have to have a passion for the thing. Once you have it, you will find your way through it. And of course, meeting the right people. And now the social media world, the digital world, the marketing world has become so big and so dynamic that it's not so difficult. Back in days, like if you talk about 10 years back, it was very different. But now it's not been so difficult. And yes, like I said, the passion for the sport, and you find the right people, and you can achieve what you want.
You can achieve what you want. There you have it. We have our quote for our new feature.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Hemali ma'am, for
Thank you.
having
It was
a word
such a
with
pleasure
us.
speaking
Thank
to
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.